Good evening and welcome to LCTV. This month we have some special shows for you for Give to Lincoln Month. We are live from Studio PH in Lincoln, Nebraska with special guest Plack Blague. Every donation we receive for Give to Lincoln Month is increased by a proportional match of $500,000. Help us reach our goal of $15,000, where we send most of this money back to the musicians. Join us for our special virtual audience just for Give to Lincoln Month this evening. The link is in the description and the bio. Please come interact with the band. Chat, donate, share, and tweet. #LincolnCallingTV. And now, Nebraska's elusive leather band, Plack Blague, has been on a rampant path of sex destruction and electronic leather mayhem for nearly 2 decades, performing internationally from large theaters to dive bars, art galleries, dingy basements, and even children's television shows. The leather-clad, masked monstrosity continues to attract and confuse audiences, varying from dance club party kids to heavy metal beer guzzlers. Plack Blague's sound emits a vile combination of primitive industrial noise, sadistic body music, and throbbing dance party beat vibes. The live performance is a must-see spectacle of homoerotic leathersexual delusions of grandeur, mixed with muscle-flexing tantrums of harsh noise and electronic disco. Give it up for Plack Blague.
I wanna do it with you. If it's the last thing I do, I wanna do it with you. Tonight, that's right. All night, tonight, that's right. All night, tonight, that's right. All night, all right, tonight, that's right. All right, all night, all right, it's about tonight. All right, so I'm waiting for. That's right, give it up for more. Okay, hitting up the cruising, you see what I can do. I walk deeper into the night. Hot man standing in my life. First time running into you. I see you noticing me too. If it's the last thing I do, I wanna do it with you. Oh yeah! Ooh, shit. Technical difficulties. Let's start that over. Ooh. Oh, it's our first time. Can you tell? Huh? Shit. Fuck. It's coming through? Yeah, there's no music coming through. Is it on mute? Is it on mute? Make sure. Yeah, cut to something, please. Is it on mute? Sorry about that. Ready when you are. Sorry. You alive out there? We barely are. Are you feeling dangerous, Lincoln calling? You know we
if they're fans, like in the true meaning of the word fanatics, they should know what kind of socks I'm wearing, so it shouldn't be a shock to them. But for all the others, they could just basically just turn off, because if they're expecting something in the vein of metal riffs or anything like that, it's a long way since.
We want to keep this feeling right. We got to make this fun.
Lincoln Carly! We are Plack Blague! This is our last song tonight. We want to thank you all for tuning in and watching and give to Lincoln. This is Lincoln, Nebraska right now. It's been a long time for us being on stage of any sort. We love you all. Till now, this is Boys Club.
Give it up for Plack Blague. Go to the website above. Give to Lincoln. Support these artists. Support Lincoln Calling. We'll be back in 5 minutes with a Q&A. Be right back.
Mic check. Can you hear us?
Lincoln Calling has transformed the streets of downtown Lincoln, Nebraska since 2004. For 17 years, it's been a week-long celebration of music, interactive art, and installations, nonprofit engagement, educational workshops, wellness gatherings, community conversations. We can go on, and we will.
Lincoln Calling thrives on featuring bands just before they break, while showcasing a multitude of genres, artists, and disciplines along the way.
Over the past 5 years, we have made diversity in artistic and educational programming our top priority. Our festival now boasts 50-50 representation between male and female artists. Since 2016, 60% of our headliners represent Black, Indigenous, people of color, and LGBTQ+ communities.
Lincoln Calling has highlighted some of the country's and state's most exciting emerging artists, educators, activists, and innovators. It has been within our mission since day one to draw a bridge for some of Nebraska's most talented artists and educators to share the stage with national acts.
In 2020, when most festivals were forced to take the year off, we became the glue to help bind our music scene.
We partnered with local production company, the Basement Creators Network, longtime Lincoln Calling venue, the Bourbon Theater, and again with Creative Hub Turbine Flats to produce Lincoln Calling 2020, the digital experience. For our 3-day festival, over 12,000 participants tuned in from 20 countries worldwide and 48 different states. This inspired our 2021 project, Lincoln Calling TV. Recently launched in partnership with the Basement Creators Network, LCTV will allow for interactive opportunities with artists, musicians, and educators throughout the year.
LCTV features weekly live stream concerts, as well as monthly specialty programming focused on arts and education, such as virtual art exhibits and artist spotlights, and conversations surrounding civic engagement with the return of our 2020 program, Calling for Change.
As for our fall festival, we're rebooting for 2021. We can't wait to gather safely and respectfully to support the heart of our city and celebrate Lincoln's arts and culture.
Lincoln Calling is an annual nonprofit music and arts organization that fosters participation in and support of artistic expression, diverse education, and civic responsibility through immersive festivals, innovative programming, and creative engagement. We believe that through art and music, we have the power to transform the way that we and others outside of Nebraska view and interact with our city and state.
Lincoln Calling contributes to Lincoln's economic impact by generating revenue to support the city's arts and culture. Our vision is to make Nebraska a globally recognized cultural destination and support the recruitment and retention of a diverse workforce. Lincoln Calling is only growing bigger and better, and with your support, we can put Lincoln, Nebraska on the map.
Can you hear us? Give to Lincoln Calling now through May 27th at givetolincoln.com and search Lincoln Calling. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the backstage portion, Q&A with Plack Blague. I'm Shannon Claire with Lincoln Calling. Thanks so much for sticking around and hanging out with us tonight. We also needed that performance, so thank you so much for taking the time and energy and doing the work to bring that to everybody. And I hope you all had a good time too.
Yeah.
We needed it as well.
Yeah, it felt good to do something else than do this at our studio or home.
Yeah, for sure.
Somewhere else. But this is our first time we've gone anywhere. We live under a rock.
Yeah, so what have y'all, how's life been the last year?
It's been, like, with everyone, it's been weird.
Yeah.
But it's also been kind of cool and, like, a weird learning experience for us in a lot of ways. Like, having to learn new ways of being artists in a lot of it, in that sense. And just keeping ourselves alive, for that matter.
Right. Well, you learn how to hustle, and you learn how to really cut out some of the stuff you don't need because you need other stuff.
Yeah.
And so, you get very concentrated, when there's nowhere else to go except where you work. You can either go crazy or you can keep working.
Yeah.
And we've just really been trying to keep working.
Trying to keep busy and just staying creative too. I think that's the biggest thing for us is to always be creative, and whether that's productive or not, I don't know. But it's like feels good to like do something fun or interesting or make cool stuff or just be weirdos like we are.
Yeah. How did you find yourself kind of reinventing yourselves through this last year, in that sense, and creativity wise?
Well, like with things shutting down and with no shows happening, it's been kind of like, say, live performing or performing live online, and like performances like this. We've done a few of those, and that's been a new learning experience. But it's also kind of cool just to kind of like do something energetic and fun, and doing it for an audience that you have no idea how far it reaches or anything. And that's what's kind of cool about it too, because you also get interesting messages back
from all over the world about this, how like much people needed that and how cool it is for people to see that.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Well, for those of you that are streaming live with us, feel free to drop a question too in the chat. I have a few questions that I'll be asking them here, but feel free to let us know if you have any questions for Plack Blague, and we'll make sure to address them from time to time and shout you all out as well. So thanks so much again for streaming. Anyone you want to say hi to real quick? That you know? I know, I'm like trying to read it too.
Hi, Adult. Adam Lee
what's up,
Miller.
Adult?
And
Adam
Nicola
Lee Miller,
Cabrera.
Nicola,
Yeah,
we
Adult.
love you.
You've toured with Adult.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did a huge U.S. tour with them in 2018 now. That's so long ago.
Yeah.
Honestly, that was like one of my most favorite tours ever, just
Absolutely.
because I look up to them so much, and they're such a big influence to me and us, and just as people. So it was just so much fun, and it was one of those like, it felt like we'd never really had to worry about anything because everyone was just like getting along so well and just adapting
Handling
to
it and-
everything weird
Yeah.
and fun.
Didn't feel like work. It was like an adventure.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a ride in a van.
Yeah. Any memorable moments from that tour with them? Like,
The first day of tour was really funny because I almost
Adam.
did this the other day, but I was just saying, like, the first day of tour, Adam took a big spill off the stage, and I was saying I'm never gonna let him live that down because I almost did that the other day. But he was carrying all the equipment, and I'll just never forget that because it was such a first day of tour moment. Kind of like tonight, where it was like first show in a while, where we just like knocked all of our shit
Let's
over.
have a
Okay,
problem.
Yeah,
is
right.
everything okay?
And everything was, and it was fantastic.
yep.
you
And
just
now
go
you'll be
on
good for
and-
the rest of the
Absolutely,
year.
right.
Welcome
Yeah.
back.
Right,
Got
you
that
know?
out of the way. Yep. But
Absolutely.
I don't know. There was just so many funny moments, and like you can't even. The whole thing was funny and
So
crazy.
did y'all ride together? Like, did you
Uh-huh.
essentially all tour?
One van.
One
Yep,
van.
one big van.
Wild and free.
Yeah, all over the Airbnb world, Wild and Free
Stayed in
tour.
So many different Airbnbs. There was this one Airbnb where we woke up and under the windowsill someone had carved "I hate my dad" like
That
in
was
the wood.
That was what I woke up
you know,
to.
in- like a kid's room. But
Right. Be a good
I think I
album
woke
cover.
up in like a few kids' room. Actually, the
Right.
funniest experience is that we stayed in this weird Airbnb in San Antonio, and it was like a minister's house or some sort of preacher, and the bedroom we stayed in had like a kneeling
altar,
to
like an
it and
actual,
everything, and
you know,
it was awesome. So it's a very memorable moment.
Do you have some good Polaroids from
Of
that spot?
course.
Yeah.
Nicola
I
has a
figured
good
as much.
Polaroid. Nicola has a very good Polaroid. Adam and Nicola have it.
Awesome.
But yeah, that was like the best tour and just so much fun.
Yeah.
We can't.
Yeah.
It's hard to top that.
Yeah, I bet. Well, yeah, Adult was super rad, and they contributed and were part of our Lincoln Calling digital experience last year and submitted a super righteous
Absolutely.
video. That was super awesome. So
Hammered
yeah.
some
Oh,
balls.
there's the Polaroid.
Polaroid.
Yes.
Yep, absolutely.
Oh, that's
at that
awesome.
That altar room in San Antonio.
Yes.
That's
Talk
funny.
about
Yeah.
like that arch. Nice.
Yes.
Yes. Good
Yes.
job. That's great. So I wanted us to talk a little bit about just kind of like your upbringing, right? Like for Lincoln in the Midwest, a lot of folks know you from your like back in your metal days with Wastoid and Ezra, and just kind of how you've come up as really being a very strong representation for queer artists. I wanted to know if you would like to share a little bit just kind of about how you've seen the scene itself in the Midwest kind of evolve, how maybe it's lagged, and how you found Plack Blague through that.
Well, I guess it all really started. I was like 15 years old when I went to my first real punk show, where I saw a flyer at Zero Street Records, which used to be where the Bourbon Theater is now. Zero Street was like a super punk record store, and when I was a teenager, that was the coolest place in the world to me. So I saw a flyer for this show, and it was like 2 blocks away from my brother's house, and I remember it just smelling so bad, and it was just gross. I remember this one guy passed out on a couch the whole time, which turned out to be Jones. And that was really weird, and like I was blown away. So like from then on, I was like, this is exactly for me. And so like I just really adapted to like Lincoln music, and I was really into just local music at that time. But also the Capital Punishment books is something I picked up as a teenager, and that was like their books and zines on the Lincoln punk scene from the late 70s and early 80s. And I saw bands like Power of the Spoken Word in there that were wearing studded jock straps and weird cod pieces and leather and stuff like that. And it looked insane. And then you hear their record from 1983, 84, And it's so fast, hardcore punk. It's like blast beats before there was really blast beats invented. And and it was just like, whoa, interesting. But at the same time, there were bands like Armatron going on around town in the late 90s, which was like a bass drum, power violence, super crazy grindcore band. But they had like a dancing robot with them live too, which was like a really good shtick and a really cool thing. And I just started going to shows like crazy around here, and like Havelock Social Hall was a big spot. There weren't really like bars you could go there. Like everybody did house shows or rental halls. And that was just a lot of fun. And eventually I just became the person that started booking shows about 1999 when I moved to Lincoln. I just like left where I grew up in Nebraska, outside of Columbus in Duncan, Nebraska, and just came here. And I'd already been coming here. I knew people here from the scene. And it was just one of those things where I just started booking bands like crazy. And it was just so in me. I had to do it. I love meeting people. I love like writing people. I love just the whole process of it. And people like Kevin, who we're watching tonight, was a big part of helping out because he was booking bands in the mid-90s, late 90s. And it was just kind of like this huge network thing. And really, that's like how I built a network for myself and through what we do. And that was just kind of the beginning of all of it. And so like I started Wastoid right when I got here, and I played drums in that band. We were around for a good 13 years. And we just started playing. I started booking just like extreme shows, like whatever, hardcore, noise, punk, even like weird pop bands, weird art rock, anything interesting, weird was like for me. The weirder, the better. And so beyond like the kind of metal punk bands, I was booking these other weird bands. I just wanted to do a project that could play those shows too. So Jeff from Wastoid and I kind of just started screwing around. We're like, let's start this band. So our first show was at the window of Zero Street, which then moved to where Gomez Art Supply is now. Okay. And we played in the window for 4 hours on Halloween. And that was 20 years ago this year. And that was like, this wasn't really a band. We just did it for the fun of it.
Yeah.
And so like, just throughout the years of meeting people and bringing people here and just doing stuff, it's just Lincoln became this place for me to express myself in so many ways. And it was since like even in the 80s and late 70s with the punks, like the queer scene was already happening here. And there were already like queer kids doing stuff, making zines, making tapes, and bands like Faggotron were a thing in the late 90s, which were like super influential to me because I feel like I didn't really know that many gay punks where I grew up because I didn't know if that existed or not. I felt really like weird and outcasted, or I guess outcasted, but it was just one of those things that was I found my people moment. And it was just so important to me to know that and to find that and just to be part of something that I felt like relatable to. And so like, I just felt like there was so much like queer things going on already that just like, I just like continuing that on, and I like keeping that alive because people don't expect that in Lincoln. People don't expect that in Nebraska. So that's like my biggest thing is when people are like, you're from Nebraska? And you're like, yeah. And they're like, I had no idea that exists there. And you're like, exactly. That's the whole point. Exactly. And that's what I really like. And it's putting this state and this town on the map too, for being kind of an interesting spot for weird underground music to happen. A lot of cool things have come out of here.
Yeah, for sure.
Lauren Butch came here like from the Bay Area.
I was a teenager in the 80s in San Francisco and very open, very out, very confident about my sexuality. And you know, that was an exciting time where, you know, all of my art is centered around everything I saw in the 80s and all the men that were there that, you know, most of them aren't anymore. But so when I moved here, it's like I just had to make everything around me as gay as possible because I was completely outnumbered, but I still had my confidence and I still had my, you know, and so just everything out of me just had to be as gay as possible, you know, and it works and it, you know, and it has worked for a while, but it was just really important for me to have a sense of self, which I've always had. It just. I had to push it on everybody else around me.
Well, and educate, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, educate and also defend myself. And, you know, it's a nice wall to have around you, you know, but then I started helping him with his project. I don't know, it's been several years now. And and that's been interesting being on the other side of things. And but I don't know, we've been able to do a lot,
And you're still here.
and
in
I'm
the
still
Midwest.
here.
Yeah, like
Yeah, I've lived in Lincoln now for about 15 years.
right.
You know,
Well,
It's
and
been a long time.
I think that's what's interesting too is that, you know, a lot of people outside of the Midwest, they don't, you know, they think of like, you know, Omaha and Denver and Minneapolis and things like that. But even just the little bit smaller cities like Lincoln and St. Joe and, you know, Missouri and things like that, and Lawrence, what have you, not realizing that is a little bit of a special gem where, yeah, you do find your people, you know. And I'm curious as to how you see how, like, you know, in these kind of towns, there's a lot of turnover in that sense where you do have a bunch of people that don't feel seen or heard and fit in here. So they do venture out to the bigger cities, right? But then you still have a crew that commits and stays, and you see that turnover happen every, you know, 4 to 6 years or something like that. How would you like to see the Midwest, these types of cities that we're talking about, I guess, be able to flourish more than just cycle?
Yeah, like kind of growing up around Lincoln, I've seen everybody come and go, and it's like always, it's like it sucks sometimes, but yet there's kind of like always this like new thing coming, or there's like new people doing new things. And sometimes that's what's cool, is it brings new attention and new ideas to you, even because there's like these people that are like, they want to do stuff and they want to kind of make a presence in this town as well. And I just think like, even though living in places like this can be rough and maybe you're not feeling accepted in a lot of ways, like I've always just been like, so like, in your face. So that's my expression in a lot of ways. And so like, really, I just do whatever I want. And that's really, I feel like everybody should just do. If you like living in Nebraska, yeah, it's super conservative, but the best thing to do is fight against that and be different and be weird and just kind of like understand that it's like that everywhere, you know, no matter where you live, it's how you make it. And so like living in places like Lincoln or any smaller city, especially in the Midwest, if you want to like create a scene, make a scene. Like I encourage you to do that. And so if you don't try, how do you know that anything can happen? So like my best advice for that is just like, I don't know, cause a ruckus, do something and see what happens. You never know. That's really all I did, was just all of a sudden I brought all these people to town, or I did these shows, and all of a sudden people liked it, you know, and you never really know what to expect.
For sure, for sure. I want to check out the chat here a little bit and see what we have question-wise. We have one from, sorry, excuse the facial expressions as I'm trying to read. Obviously, I've hit 40. I need glasses.
Yay.
So let's see. Chris, have you seen any upticks of interest in your band since the Josh fight last month?
The Josh fight?
Yes, the
What's
Josh
the Josh
fight.
I don't really know what that is.
Yeah.
I actually kind of know. I think it's where a bunch of Joshes got together and like broed out and completely like fought each other because of their names are all Josh.
Well,
Yeah.
considering our names aren't Josh, I think sales are booming.
Right?
Sales are great.
Gina wants to know, how did you meet each other? When was the first moment you remember that you guys like locked eyes?
I was living in San Francisco, and Ross was in Wastoid, and this was 2004. And
I was on tour.
on
in the
tour,
Bay Area.
yeah. And we had chatted a little bit before online, when it was kind of rare to do so. And then, I don't know, it was one night in Redwood City.
Oh, Redwood City.
Well, that's where we like met
That's where we met
initially.
then.
That's
Yeah.
where I was. So Lauren
Yeah.
came to pick me up, and that's how we met. But we had been, like you said, chatting for a while. There used to be a website called gay.com. That's really funny now because it's so nothing.
Because it's nothing now.
But we just kind of like I said, I didn't really know people around here, so like I just kind of talked to whoever in lots of ways. So we just hit it off really well, and it's been like that ever since.
And then you got him to move to Nebraska.
to leave San Francisco,
Yeah.
which, you know, at the time, you know, I've seen San Francisco go up and down. my entire life. And you know, that was just a good time to leave and you know.
And we kind of just like developed our own weird lifestyle and our own kind of creative outlet, especially together as artists and in our own ways too.
Yeah. Works well together for sure. Very cohesive in that sense. I definitely want to say happy belated birthday to you, by the way. I know you.
Oh, thank you.
You
I
hit
also
a
turned
birthday
40.
I was going to say in March, right? Welcome.
February 28th.
Found it.
Yeah.
But I think like I'm curious as to what your thoughts are now entering this next decade. Like I know for me, 40 definitely hits different than 20, 30, or, you know, as you kind of come up in age. What are you kind of looking for in terms of evolving as an artist, you know, this next 10 years, I guess, this next stage?
I just like living as an artist at the moment.
Yeah.
This is really the first time in my life where I feel comfortable being able just to be a full-time artist. And as difficult as that can be and as frustrating, it's sort of not, because I feel like we've been kind of preparing ourselves for this in a lot of ways too. I feel like, you know, sound cliche, as I get older, you learn a lot more, like,
Right.
But I feel like I know more now than I did in my 20s, but at the same time, I feel like I'm still doing the same thing I did in my 20s. And like, I'm just going to keep continuing to do that because I love it so much and there's nothing else I want to do really. So like, I guess my plan for the next 10 years is do this even more, you know?
Even harder and hotter, right?
It feels like now we have just more confidence and more ability to do this in a lot of ways too. And
When you get older too, because I'll be 53 this week, you kind of realize that you may not have as much time, so you have less time to waste.
Yeah.
And so that kind of means people, that kind of means jobs that, you know, you might need, but you know what you want to do. And somewhere along the line, you find that your hobby is turned into a business. And then, so you just really embrace that and you really accept that, because that's kind of hard to do, because it's weird to see yourself as a business. But then when you have stuff and you have products and art and music and, you know, shirts especially, you just learn, it's like, okay,
This is good.
this is my job.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, certainly this past year, you know, you really have to decide what you're going to do, because there's not a lot of options. You know, so you do what you love and you do what you know how. And, you know, we have been kind of getting ready for this part of life for a long time. You know, so now it's just really about the art, it's about the music, it's about getting out there when the time is right.
Yeah.
right. It's never work when it's fun.
Right. Right. It's
So
true.
sometimes it's work.
Sometimes you gotta put the work hat on. But like it's so true in what you're saying, in the sense of just like you kind of get to this place of like, I don't know, we're so conditioned to constantly be able to have to strive and achieve more and do more and consistently climb, right, and set all these goals for ourselves, that you don't really get to enjoy the goals as you meet them. So you get to now just kind of like really take a minute and enjoy where you're at and just write it, you know?
Yeah.
Write it and maintain it.
And maintain
Right.
it.
Maintain
yeah.
it especially.
But also still have goals. Like I definitely have goals. So like, it's like, I feel like I've done a lot in my life, but there's so much more I want to do
Yeah.
that I feel like I'm still pushing myself to do whatever it takes to reach those goals too.
So what do you have as in terms of what you're looking to do this next year, now that we're starting to come back to like in-person activities, and what are you setting out to do now?
Well, like we're still just kind of doing the whole like online thing. This last year I kind of learned how to make music videos. So I've been making music videos. So I'm kind of waiting on some releases for that. We just filmed we have an upcoming set for Night Flight, which is like a 80s MTV style show. And that's like a huge
The Residents.
accomplishment, I feel like, to be part of, you know, like asked to even do this, because it's like with the Residents, who are like one of the most legendary kind of avant-garde, total just out there music artists, experimental everything possible.
Cool.
So it's insane to even be part of this and to, you know, have your name out there, like say with Night Flight or The Residents, you know? So like, that's like something coming up for us. We've got like a video and like a collaborative song with Horror from Los Angeles coming out next month. I don't have specific details on that, but they did tell me that is finally seeing the light of day next month.
Cool.
And then we'll probably start hitting back the road. Like we'll be back in Chicago in July, but performing live online again. And then probably just start trying to book
Looking
shows
towards the
for the
fall.
fall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like everything seems to be kind of reopening up. We don't necessarily want to be the first. We want to kind of like just kind of see what happens, because things are already happening, and it's sort of like, you know.
Yeah, everyone's dipping their toes in just a
Everyone's
little
dipping their
bit.
toes.
Right.
Sometimes they're getting some heat, you know,
Yeah.
from it, because is it too soon? Is it
Right.
not too soon?
It's like we just kind of got to get through summer a little bit and just
Right.
kind of
Yeah.
assess then. There is a good question here. Darren wants to know, do you have any strong impulses to push your sound in any new directions?
I do kind of think about that a lot. I feel like the music I have been writing, especially this year, is evolving, because that's one thing I had to learn how to record by myself, since the studio I was working at kind of closed down because of all of this. And I learned how to start recording, and which has been a weird process in itself, but that's been a new way of evolving sounds that I work with, and just kind of like pushing myself to be a better songwriter and to just, you know, be multi-genre. I think if I learned anything from touring the last few years is like not to pigeonhole your project to be so specifically one thing, and make it more accessible to many people. It doesn't necessarily make you like say do mainstream music, but
Right.
it's sort of like you can take little elements of everything and kind of make it work. And so it can like reach more people or other people that might not understand you. But like, I feel like you have to evolve, but also keep it yourself too. So like, yeah, that's definitely a goal, is to evolve my music in a lot of ways. But I'm just kind of going, and sometimes I feel like I'm not evolving, but then when you
look back.
you look back on it
Yeah.
like a year later, you're like, oh, that's totally different.
Yeah.
So,
Art tends to evolve itself whether you wanted to or not.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think as long as you put your heart into it and, you know, you're honest about it, then, you know, art kind of does what it wants, you know, and so does music. And, you know, when you learn more about your craft and, you know, how to do things, and how to record and how to edit and all that, then you just, something else kicks in, and then you're able to try
It's like
something else.
you're open more. Yeah.
You're open more because you're not spending so much time learning how to do something. And so you learn how to do something, and then that just kind of opens up the creativity. And, you know, you push yourself that way.
I'm also obsessed with music too. So like my music palette can change so much throughout a year. So like lately for me, it's just been like straight up hardcore techno, and that's like all I want to hear. So sometimes when I'm like writing music, it's like, that's what I kind of want to sound like right now in a
Yeah.
weird way, but not say to sound just like that. But there's like elements that I hear in new things. There's like even pop music of today, I hear new elements. It's like, oh, that sounds so cool. I love weird layered vocals, and it sounds so cool. And even that can be a big influence to me. So
Right.
it's just really what I'm doing and what I'm obsessing over in a lot of ways that help me evolve musically, for that matter.
That's awesome. For those of you that are still streaming with us, feel free to drop any questions you may have in the chat here, and we'll circle back to them most definitely. Again, we're sitting here with Plack Blague just after their LCTV performance here with Lincoln Calling. Let's see, from our other stream, let's see here. I don't think I can see any questions at this moment. Do you love Robin? This actually precedes a question that I was going to ask you, just off the cuff, like a little this or that, right? I was going to ask you, like, Kylie Minogue or Robin?
Oh,
Kylie Minogue.
right. Always Kylie. Robin's fantastic,
Sure.
but no, there's always Kylie.
No.
Don't ask me Kylie and Madonna.
Okay, right? Forget it.
Well, maybe.
But do you love Robin is the question.
Actually, I've been listening to a
Absolutely.
lot of Robin in the last like year or two. I'm super influenced by Cody from Shun, who did a Robin video recently. So like I'm obsessed with the sound of that video, and I love the like the edited talking and stuff like that in it. I just think that's cool, and I think Robin is super creative and writes really dramatic music.
Yes.
So I walk.
It hits you.
That's like my thing now is walking. That's what I learned in the last years. I like walking. So like there's times where I obsess over Robin and kind of just like really listen to lyrics, and it's sort of like depressing to me, where I can find like really uplifting music to be, or like really happy music to be extremely depressing.
Yeah.
So that's like sometimes Robin's a little bit too emotional and too much for me, but incredible pop artist that deserves every bit of recognition.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Absolutely. I'd like to talk a little bit about fan art. I know you get some great submissions from folks and gifts from folks. I've seen you post on your Instagram. A couple that I've noticed recently were just like this really cool, like pink, purple kind of 80s graphic design. It was kind of pixelated. And then there was also that cool glass art that you received recently too. And then I noticed like a tarot card at one point. Like, are there any other memorable gifts that you've received from your fans?
There's that one piece on cardboard the other day.
There's been a lot lately, and I feel like just us being artists and us just having this like image too, it's like makes people like making fan art, and I feel like we express that how much we like art, and that's like a thing we're really into. So I feel like we totally encourage artists to make art, and so when it is of us, or like especially me, it's sort of like, whoa, it's so crazy someone takes the time to do that. And it's so appreciative. Like we're so appreciative of it that it's just cool. And like, I don't know, it's been like all sorts of things. I can't even think. I got like a hip bag, like a fanny pack someone made with like the banner face logo painted on it, studded and spiked, a clear vest that's all studded.
Sweet.
Like that, a glass like etching. I can't even think of this stuff right now, but it's so unexpected, and it's amazing that people look at you like that and want to make art and be into that. Even like one cool piece that just happened. So Jason Macier from San Francisco, he's like a collage artist out of junk. So he made a big Bjork portrait recently with the Plack Blague remix CD in it. So it's kind of like whoa, that's like even cool. That's not even of us, but yet it's like, whoa, that's so cool of that to be part of it.
Is that for sale?
I think it was
that sounds rad.
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
But
That's so
it's
cool.
very interesting. I'm just like blown away always, because it makes my day no matter what. Like just to be appreciated like that.
How can folks submit art to you? Like if someone's out there right now and wants to send something to you, gift, you know.
People send me stuff on Instagram or Facebook or in the mail,
just
or
get in touch.
It's
all social media.
Sometimes it's just people not even tagging us and stuff, and it's like all of a sudden you'll see this drawing, you're like, whoa, it's me.
That's so
cool. Or someone makes like a weird meme or like a weird like 8-bit digital thing where it's like a cartoon character, video game character. I don't know. I just love it.
Yeah. I know about your artistry, and I know about your artistry from just, us being mutual friends and acquaintances here in the arts and music scene in Lincoln. What mediums do you dive into from time to time outside of your performances?
Me specifically?
Yeah, and then I was going to get
I'm kind of like all over the place. I did study painting and photography at the university here. I wanted to be a painter so bad, and then like throughout college, I really decided to be a photographer. But I still like painting a lot, and I like photography a lot because we do a lot of photos just in general of us, just for self-promotion all the time. But I actually do a lot of screen printing. I've been screen printing for over 20 years now. I mostly print t-shirts, but I do some poster printing here and there. But I just like working with like all sorts of materials and collaging things together. I've been working on a book for the last 10 years. That's a multimedia thing. It's drawing, screen printing, painting, photos, collage, just kind of a little bit of everything. And that's kind of what I like in a lot of ways is just, I like process, and I like making things too. Otherwise, like I like oil painting a lot. But like it just changes with me. So like sometimes I'll obsess over painting, sometimes I'll obsess over like collage work, or sometimes I'll just do photos like crazy.
Yeah.
And it just keeps me creative, and I just like the idea of process and making things too. So that's like a big part of it for me.
Do you see yourself having any type of art shows down the road again, or?
Yeah, I'm actually gonna do a show at Tugboat in August with Larry Bowler, who's a local ceramic artist who does kind of like homoerotic ceramic art, but it's got this kind of like
gorgeous,
like
I'm familiar.
like beautiful, like almost grandma art quality to it. Like it'll be like doilies, but with like naked men on it and stuff like that. So
okay, rad.
I'm excited to see what he does. I think he's an interesting artist in Lincoln because there's not a whole lot of that kind of work going on around here. So it's just one of those things. It's Tugboat's first show since the pandemic. So it's one of those things where hopefully people come out in August.
Yeah, that'll be a great time. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And then Butch Dick, what do you have going? You've been in, I mean, that's your life, right?
Right. I'm trying to learn how to draw.
Yeah.
I mean, I can draw, but I'm really learning how to draw.
Well, you're always learning. Yeah.
And that sounds but I'm specifically, really trying to understand the dynamics of art and anatomy, really, and proportion and composition, because I've been really lucky, and when something works, but that's just been luck and instinct, and but you want a little bit more control over your art, and so there's that. And I do a lot of screen printing as well. I have a lot of my art on t-shirts, and that's been a really interesting and good process to learn. And then from that, I'll be doing prints. I would love to learn more, just different types of medium. Whether I'm lazy or whether there's no time, there just doesn't seem to be time.
Yeah. Yeah. The mental space to
to kind of leave your job, which is my art, to do something creative that doesn't necessarily have any aim in mind, whereas when I draw, I try to draw something that, I can show. But so I want to be able to give myself the time just to try something new, like large scale paintings, or just something that's still doing the same kind of work I do, but not
just
with a pencil.
Upon it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. There's one question here that came through that I wanted to get to. It was from James. He had asked, tell us about the lights and production side of your shows.
Well, we're pretty DIY.
Also luck and instinct.
Yeah. So you might find us at somewhere like Menards or something buying weird floodlights, but it's just all self-controlled. We just do it all ourselves and make it work. And that's kind of how this whole project is. Like, this is like the most DIY project ever. And so like I encourage that immensely. Like, if we can do it, anyone can do it. So it's one of those things where we just make weird things work. So if it's not like, say, junk, it's just kind of experimenting with,
and then something works sometimes,
things we find or things we buy or people give us or whatever. So it's really just to add more variety to the live show, especially because it helps make it just that much more interesting too, and more fun.
Spontaneous. I think if everything is computerized and you just have to hit a button, then that kind of takes away. You want to be kind of all over the place and excited.
Again, the process of it.
Right. And sometimes if stuff happens.
Right.
And
for sure. Brendan wants to know, when was the last time you listened to Jukebox Hero?
Okay. Probably when I wrote Jukebox Hero on your face. I don't know. I haven't listened to that for a while, Brendan. Good question.
And then Peter wants to know, what do you guys think of high energy music?
High NRG.
Oh, high energy.
High energy.
Love it.
Yeah.
Of course. I feel like
music of my youth.
I feel like that's what we're just expanding this project to be, is just a different version of high NRG.
And then
keep it fun.
Yeah, right. And then fetishes. Someone wants to know what fetishes do you have?
That's the ironic part.
Leather?
Right?
Cuddling, good food. No,
Uniforms?
no, that's always so hard to say because it all sounds cliche, and you know it would surprise people. You know that maybe there's not a lot of
Sometimes you have to
there's
come to the Blague show to see what our real fetishes are.
right.
There
right.
you go. Exactly. And again, if anyone else has any more questions that they'd like to ask Plack Blague, feel free to do so in the chat. I wanted to talk a little bit about new music. I know you released a new single in March. Any other plans for like an EP or an album this year?
Yeah, I just released a new song on a compilation for practically everyone, which is based out of Chicago. My friend Matt runs this label called FPE Records, and it's his 10-year anniversary, and he just wanted to release like a huge compilation of international music. So it was cool to be part of that, and it also includes Derek Higgins from Omaha, which he's kind of a old school punk musician. So it's like cool to be part of that with him because he's really creating like really interesting music. So the comp is just like so all over the place. That's what's cool about it. It's not just very specific to one sound. But I have upcoming projects coming out with like a collaboration with horror, and I'm working on a 12-inch on Phage tapes right now based out of Minneapolis. And I have a split 7-inch with Cocky SP coming out early summer. They're a harsh noise band from Minneapolis that's been around for like 25 years, but this is like way beyond a harsh noise release. It's like, I don't know, it's insane. So I'm excited for that to finally see the light of day because it's been just a long process. Because like vinyl pressing right now is sort of like slow. So it feels like it's just been in this pressing process forever. The Wear Your Body Out EP will eventually get a 7-inch release as well on Cubicle Records, which released the Leather Band 7-inch. And just kind of still working on this full length, and I have unreleased material that I'm still sitting on. I had songs produced by Adam Lee Miller of Adult that we did already a couple of years ago, and just I'd love to see that as a release too. But I just have things I'm sitting on, just kind of waiting for like a proper label release as well.
Yeah, for sure. Angie wants to let you know to please come to Brazil.
Yes, please bring us.
Right? No kidding. That sounds nice.
Hi, Angie from Brazil.
So merch. I wanted to talk about merch a little bit too. I've definitely you've been going hard on the merch the last year. I'm sure just also because why not, and because a need and all of these things like that. I wanted to talk about Casual Blague Friday and how did the polo come to be? This is a personal question. So I'm like, a polo? What's up with the polo?
Keep it classy.
Yes.
Keep
Okay.
it classy.
We're trying to up our fashion a little bit. It was just like one of those things where I don't even know how it came about. We learned how to embroider recently. So that's just like expanding our screen printing.
Not by hand.
By machine.
Yeah.
But it was just one of those things where I was just like, let's just do these polos. We each did one of our own designs of our own logos, and it just happened to become Casual Blague Friday, and now I think that's a thing.
Do you think you'll ever do visors?
I don't know. You never know. Like
I think
feel
that would
like
be a good addition for Casual Blague Friday.
I just came up with a cap.
So we're just kind of like
Anything is possible. We're just learning the
we're
process
learning to expand the merch because we love merch and t-shirts, and we just love making that stuff. So when we tour, we like to bring like a wall of t-shirts and merch, stuff like that. So that's really what keeps us alive. So thank you to everybody who purchases merch off of us, because honestly, like, we make it for you. I mean, I'm not trying to wear all my own stuff all the time. I just have so much of it around that I do wear it.
And it's so rad. I mean,
thanks.
Yeah, it's great artwork.
I make stuff so people can feel sexy about themselves.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the number one comment that I get from myself, is that, it gives people some weird confidence to have a chest on their shirt.
Yeah.
Or something, or, a huge pink triangle. And I don't know, that's been the surprising aspect of my merch,
Yeah.
because I only kind of saw it as, a product,
Yeah.
but people see it as more, and that's fantastic. And so that's what
There's definitely a
trying to
sense of
do.
empowerment for sure with that. Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of also one of those things where the best advice I ever got as for like being a musician was to learn how to screen print.
Yeah.
So
So there
that's
you go.
what's keeping us alive
Yeah,
for sure.
for sure. So if anyone has any more questions, this is probably the last chance you'll have. Throw them in the chat real quick. We're going to kind of wrap up here a little bit. I have some like quick fire questions for you both.
Sure.
And so I was curious what's your favorite midnight snack?
Ass.
I was going to say peanut butter and chocolate Cheerios, but
On said ass or?
not necessarily afterwards.
I don't really try to eat at midnight.
But having said that,
A beer, I don't know. That's lame.
What advice do you have for those that are suffering from restless Blague syndrome out there?
Just keep partying and keep staying hot.
more dancing.
Yeah, the more you dance, the
Yeah.
more you get restless Blague syndrome. So if you don't like that, maybe don't dance. I don't know. That was a horrible answer.
And then how do you find yourself staying hot during the winter months? I'm trying to make these as cheesy and ridiculous as possible. Am I succeeding?
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, you're doing fine.
It's
but
easy to stay hot
not-
when you're always so hot.
If you stay hot, you don't have to get hot.
There we go.
Also, wearing leather is very hot.
But I think someone did ask maybe what your favorite brand of leather is, or like maybe is there a place that you purchase leather frequently from that you want to give a shout out to?
Well,
My favorite brand, or you go ahead.
I'm very
Oh.
old school San Francisco, and I've always believed that leather should either be custom made or inherited from somebody else. You don't always get that option either way. Actually, our friend Sarah Huff is one of it's
She's our leather seamstress.
a leather seamstress
She does a company called She,
out
and
of LA.
Okay.
she's out of Portland now.
Oh,
but
very good.
she's made a lot of my leather. Actually, nothing I'm wearing right now except this hat. But also, Sex Man Leather makes a lot of my leather stuff, my spiked stuff too. But yeah, they're like my two favorite leather people right now.
We try to search out people who are actually making stuff and not like a company like Wilson's, or,
Right.
Because
Yeah, some local purveyors and
Local
artisans.
or-
Yeah.
not local, but we get a lot of people supporting us through our merch,
Yeah.
and
small business.
so I would rather support someone who's actually making something with their hands than some company.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, I think we're going to wrap things up here. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us.
Thank you.
Do you want to let them all know kind of where they can Blague next?
Oh, let's see. The next live Blague appearance will be on Night Flight TV June 5th. And that's on the Night Flight app that you have to purchase, which I think is really cheap, but it's like so worth it if you like watching old school punk, new wave, even new things. I know they've been working with a lot of artists like Adult and Drab Majesty and things like that. So I think it's definitely worth it to check out. And also you can see the residents who are doing something during this pandemic as well that you don't normally get to see very much. So that's
Yeah.
definitely something to check out.
Awesome.
And then I think July 17th will be in Chicago. So look at vans.com.
Cool. Well, stay tuned to your social media channels. I'm sure on Instagram is kind of where you're at most of the time, right?
Yeah, you can reach us at all our social
All our
media at
socials.
Plack Blague, whatever.
Yeah, and you can
Or Butch Dick Art. So that's us.
that way you can see when the fall tour is going to happen. Also, you'll be performing at Lincoln Calling 2021, which will be taking place September 23rd to the 25th in downtown Lincoln, which we're super excited to be able to bring back the festival in person. So yeah, thanks so much. Join us next week. We'll have Jay Crum.
Yay.
Thank you, Shannon. Thank you,
Thank
Lincoln
you.
Calling.
Thank you, Lincoln Calling. We love you.
Mic check. Can you hear us?
Lincoln Calling has transformed the streets of downtown Lincoln, Nebraska since 2004. For 17 years, it's been a week-long celebration of music, interactive art, and installations, nonprofit engagement, educational workshops, wellness gatherings, community conversations. We can go on, and we will.
Lincoln Calling thrives on featuring bands just before they break, while showcasing a multitude of genres, artists, and disciplines along the way.
Over the past 5 years, we have made diversity in artistic and educational programming our top priority. Our festival now boasts 50-50 representation between male and female artists. Since 2016, 60% of our headliners represent Black, Indigenous, people of color, and LGBTQ+ communities.
Lincoln Calling has highlighted some of the country's and state's most exciting emerging artists, educators, activists, and innovators. It has been within our mission since day one to draw a bridge for some of Nebraska's most talented artists and educators to share the stage with national acts.
In 2020, when most festivals were forced to take the year off, we became the glue to help bind our music scene.
We partnered with local production company, the Basement Creators Network, longtime Lincoln Calling venue, the Bourbon Theater, and again with creative hub Turbine Flats to produce Lincoln Calling 2020, the digital experience. For our 3-day festival, over 12,000 participants tuned in from 20 countries worldwide and 48 different states. This inspired our 2021 project, Lincoln Calling TV. Recently launched in partnership with the Basement Creators Network, LCTV will allow for interactive opportunities with artists, musicians, and educators throughout the year.
LCTV features weekly live-streamed concerts, as well as monthly specialty programming focused on arts and education, such as virtual art exhibits and artist spotlights, and conversations surrounding civic engagement with the return of our 2020 program, Calling for Change.
As for our fall festival, we're rebooting for 2021. We can't wait to gather safely and respectfully to support the heart of our city and celebrate Lincoln's arts and culture.
Lincoln Calling is an annual nonprofit music and arts organization that fosters participation in and support of artistic expression, diverse education, and civic responsibility through immersive festivals, innovative programming, and creative engagement. We believe that through art and music, we have the power to transform the way that we and others outside of Nebraska view and interact with our city and state.
Lincoln Calling contributes to Lincoln's economic impact by generating revenue to support the city's arts and culture. Our vision is to make Nebraska a globally recognized cultural destination and support the recruitment and retention of a diverse workforce. Lincoln Calling is only growing bigger and better, and with your support, we can put Lincoln, Nebraska on the map.
Can you hear us? Give to Lincoln Calling now through May 27th at givetolincoln.com and search Lincoln Calling.